back at you with another video from 80s Nut. Alright, so we are having a problem with our AC unit. There is only warm air, or ambient air, being blown through the vents, and no cold air. Alright, so came out here to check out the unit, and first thing I noticed is the fan was not spinning. As you know, they made a video a few years back of replacing the cap there, your capacitor, and most of the time, if the fan's not spinning, your culprit is going to be the capacitor. In this case, I spun the fan, and it went ahead, and I primed the fan, and it went ahead and started running, but I was still not getting any cold air. It was just it was blowing, and it was blowing warm ambient air. The reason I say warm is because it's 104 out right now. Anyway, so came back out here, and the capacitor is a dual capacitance capacitor, and it really serves two purposes. One is to prime the fan when you first start it, and two is to prime the compressor. The compressor, which is in there. All right. I took the cover off on the compressor because a lot of times your terminals there, right at the crimp on the terminals, will start. There'll be a lot of corrosion. And what will happen is your wire, your core wire that's crimped to your terminal, will sever. And in this case, that was not the issue. So immediately, I wanted at least every couple years you should check those wires too, because they do corrode, and they end up falling apart, and a lot of times there's an issue there. So I thought, since I have it open, I might as well check those, and if they're bad, I will put new spades on there. But in this case, they're not. Okay, so back to the capacitor. In this case, the capacitor absolutely is the issue, and was the issue. I went ahead and discharged it, and discharging capacitor is fairly simple. You're going to get a screwdriver, preferably a insulated electrical screwdriver, and then you just go from one terminal to the next until you'll see a small spark there, and that's basically discharging it. So your capacitors hold voltage, right? The whole idea of the capacitor is that you're going to it will hold the voltage, and it spits it out the second you need it, or the second the system needs it, and then it rejuvenates again. That's really how a capacitor works. Same thing in an audio system, a car audio system, when they're hooking up capacitors. Shoots out the power, comes back again. Shoots out the power, comes back again. So same way. In this case, the capacitor was blown on both sides. Most of the time, you typically see them blown on one side. When I say that, so it'll still be able to prime the compressor, but it can't prime the fan, or vice versa. In this case, both sides went bad. I did not get. There's no sound. You'd hear two different types of sounds. One sound comes from your electrical motor for the fan. The other sound is more of a pinging sound, which comes from the compressor. In this case, the compressor was not turning on. I also grabbed my multimeter just to make sure, so I don't waste money and I don't waste time. I set it up. You set it on ohms, and you check your capacitor, right? And it was fairly simple. But if you don't have a DVM, right? If you don't have a multimeter, a quick way of doing it is just like I said. Spin the fan blades. Your fan goes on, right? Is a sign that the fan electric motor is okay, right? So you would power on everything, and then you'd come in and you'd literally turn the fan, and that would be you compensating for the capacitor, right? And it'll kick and it'll start going. If that doesn't happen, then you might, it's rare, but you might have a bad electrical motor. If it kicks, then you know that real quick the problem is your capacitor, and you need to replace your capacitor. I went ahead and purchased a capacitor, which is very cheap. It was 42 bucks. You probably get it cheaper than that. on Amazon or something, but I needed it now. I didn't want to wait, and I went out and I got one. Most appliance parts stores will have them in stock and readily available. If not, just order it on Amazon and put that bad boy in. Please make sure to pull your circuit breaker out, which is there, and that cuts your circuit. That way there's no power going to the unit. You don't want to get zapped by 220 volts. And same thing, discharge the capacitor. You don't want to get zapped by the capacitor either. I think that's pretty much it, just for the hell of it. If you guys wanted to know what these meant here on the terminals. So you have fan on one terminal, you have a C for common on the other terminal, and you have Herm on the last terminal. The Herm actually stands for your compressor. The Herm stands for hermetically sealed compressor. Anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much it. I hope I helped, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thumbs up and subscribe. It always helps. Thanks. Bye.